Pokerogue has taken the world by storm, starting out with a measly 50 players and going up to 45,000 plus in about a month's time is absolutely nuts. And since you guys really seem to enjoy the last video I made on it, and considering that I'm also addicted to the game myself, I decided to do a challenge run on it to try and beat 200 levels with a certain type of Pokemon. I had many choices in mind, shiny only, but that wouldn't work because the chances of me running into a shiny were way too slim. So I went with the next best thing, the Pokemon that the people love the most, starters. The most popular Pokemon of all time are mostly starters, like your Greninjas and Charizards. But Pokerogue only allows me to pick 3 at the start of my run, so I had to make my choices wisely. With the main goal in mind, beating the boss at the 200th floor without dying. Having to debate between 9 generations definitely wasn't easy, and I had to pass up on some very good Pokemon like my shiny Chikorita that I got from the egg gacha. And with a couple of test runs out of the way, I eventually found the perfect team comp. This wouldn't be a Zwiggo video if I didn't use my favorite Pokemon of all time, Mudkip. An insane pick with only one weakness, which is grass, which means we have to cover that weakness with a fire type. And I decided to go with the Generation 9 Crocodile, Fuecoco. There's a couple of reasons why I decided to pick this thing, mainly because it gets access to Torch Song, which lets me boost my own special attack every single turn. The ghost typing it gets is also really great against any normal type moves the opponent throws at me. On top of that, it's also incredibly bulky, which will allow it to stay alive longer. But the main reason I went with the Skeledirge line is because of the move Will-O-Wisp. It learns it via level up, and it's crucial for the strategy I will be applying. Last but not least, we'll have to cover water and ground type weaknesses, so I went with Bulbasaur. I already had a couple of egg moves on this Bulbasaur as well, like Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, and Earth Power, but it also gets access to great moves like Sleep Powder and Leech Seed. You'll later see why these are so important. With these 3, our team is complete until we run into another starter Pokemon, which are pretty rare, so the only thing I'm hoping for is a couple of them so that we can at least have a team of 6. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know more about Pokerogue itself and how it actually all works, I highly recommend checking out this video first before watching this one. But you know what's even more fun than starting a new Pokerogue run? Starting a journey together with today's sponsors, Raid Shadow Legends. I know you've all heard it. People think that Raid is a stupid game that's just pay to win, has no depth, and basically just wastes your time. But what if I told you that this game is anything but all those things? Yes, like with a lot of other games, there is a couple of pay to win elements to make the game easier, but you can easily do it free to play as well if you're willing to put in a little bit of your time. And to make this easier, there's a ton of auto battling features that will save you time in the long run, which means you can basically do anything while letting Raid play in the background. But that doesn't mean you don't have to strategize, because you always need a great team composition in order to get through their campaign and other levels. You can also play with all of your friends, and if you don't have one, you can always join my clan, the Swamp Squad, to participate in events together and gossip over the latest fan game and ROM hack news together. And if you're looking to get something out of this, Raid has got a ton of goodies for you. Not only are they giving away a free legendary hero as well as 2 strong epic heroes, you will also be able to win a free gaming console. And if that's not enough for you, they're also giving away Amazon gift cards with a total value of $10,000 and a lot of other in-game prizes. All you have to do is participate in the Spring Hunt minigame event, which will run until May 30th. All you have to do is simply download Raid using my link in the description or QR code, then head to springhunt.plarion.com and enter your Raid ID to start searching for missing items. And if all of this still doesn't convince you to try out Raid, we have one last hurrah for you, and that is a huge starter pack with an epic champion named Tyrell from the High Elves faction. And if you're actually hooked after reaching level 25, you'll get another starter pack including an epic Rector Drath. So what are you waiting for? Go and download Raid right now and use promo code SPRINGHUNT24 for even more rewards. A huge thank you to Raid for sponsoring this video, and let's get right into this Pokerogue starter run. Now, at the very start of this run, I got insanely lucky with a Calcium early on to boost my Bulbasaur's special attack. These first couple of areas are incredibly easy to get through because most of the Pokemon you face are early normal type, bird types, and bug types. On wave number 7, after defeating a Caterpie, I ended up getting a Dynamax band, which means we might have a possibility of getting G-Max Venusaur, which would be huge not only in size but also in ability of fighting. And who knows, maybe we'll even run into a Charizard or Blastoise to get one of those two as well. In area number 8, I ended up running into my rival Finn, who was trying to one-up me with a starter of his own, namely Tepig, which easily died to a couple of Earth powers from Bulbasaur. A Sludge Bomb later, and his Rookity also didn't want to fight anymore. As our first rewards here, we always get XP shares and XP charms, so that leveling up our Pokemon becomes a little bit easier. But not as easy as the boss on this floor, which turned out to be another little Rookity, and once my little crocodile started singing like an angel, Rookity fell apart like a fangirl at a Taylor Swift concert. Unfortunately, between floor 11 and 20, nothing really happened, as we did get the standard free healing items and some useful berries, but besides that, we ended up fighting our very first gym leader in area 20. Chili from the Unova region. He has only got 2 fire types, Darumaka and Pansear, and you're probably thinking I'm just going to use Mudkip to take both of these out. Well, you thought wrong, because Bulbasaur used Sludge Bomb on the Darumaka to take it out, then it learned Sleep Powder, one of the best moves in this game by the way, and with the special attack boost from the X special attack I got earlier, Pansear easily gets Toxic wasted on as well. This causes my Planty Toad to reach level 16, which triggers its evolution into Ivysaur. Throughout these 20 levels, we did manage to pick up a map, which means that we can choose the lake as our next destination after defeating Chili, giving us another opportunity at the water type starter. And while the starter on the next floor might not be a water type, its evolution is. That's right, we ended up running into Vaporeon, the most cursed Pokemon of all time, and we all know by now that Eevee is a starter Pokemon. So I will absolutely take this bulky water type beast. It immediately gets access to Bouncy Bubble as well, which is sort of like a Giga Drain but then water type and a little bit less powerful. Healing moves in Pokerogue are incredibly powerful, so I will absolutely take this. On floor number 25, however, we spot a little pluck of blue hair in the distance, and you already know what that means. Our rival is back for some smoke. Or should I say some sludge, because even though he has buffed up his team by evolving his 2 main Pokemon, he also added in a Carnivine. And for one reason or another, my Ivysaur is just the most broken Pokemon ever, as it puts everything to sleep and Sludge Bombs it for an easy, clean sweep. He definitely got way too confident before facing us, and that's just what you get. As a reward, we do get some more XP items as well as an HP up, which we end up using on Mudkip, because Swampert is just something that you need to invest in with HP and attack. Shortly after, our 2 other buddies evolved into their second stages, Marshtomp and Crocolore, and that had just gave me an insane urge to eat tacos. The only thing I had to eat was some Slowpoke tail I got from beating the boss. Maybe I shouldn't have actually eaten it, because they apparently sell for over $1 million Pokédollars. The next area we got lit to was Shrek's house, the swamp, with even more opportunities for water-type starters, but also an easy field for my Ivysaur to sweep some more. I also found a memory mushroom, which I ended up using on Vaporeon to give it the move Charm, which might work out in some very dire situations if we run into a Pokemon that has an insane attack stat. Like, you know, maybe a Mega Rayquaza or something. After defeating a Shellos, we ended up getting a Super EXP Charm, but at the end on floor 39, we got a Mega Bracelet, which is absolutely poggers. Let me tell you why. A lot of starters have Mega Evolutions, like my 2 Pokemon, Venusaur and Swampert. And if you end up finding one of their Mega Stones, they will Mega Evolve for the rest of your run. Getting it this early is just a sign of God looking down on us. So we pick it up and Mudshot the boss Arbok in the face with Marshtomp while taking it out with Torrent boosted Water Pulse to propel us to a foresty area which is full of bug and grass types. Nothing here was really all that useful except for an evolution from Ivysaur into Venusaur before we already faced the boss and Kalos' first gym leader, Viola. We all know she specializes in the bug types and she has 2 pretty good ones to start off with, Low Kicks and Vivillon. Crocolore's Flamethrower, however, burns them to a crisp, and this gives him enough experience to evolve into Zwiggojr. Even though I took this boy with me for its incredible bulk, he still couldn't take down Viola's Masquerain, all because of confusion the Vivillon was able to put on me. But with his new move Torch Song, I'm sure he's going to make a comeback of dreams. I of course thought Marshtomp was taking this out with a single Rock Slide, but it had access to Giga Drain, absolutely destroying my Mudfish, which means my last hope falls on Venusaur's shoulders, because Vaporeon is not winning this matchup either. I put it to sleep, get lucky as it stays asleep for 3 turns, and I can Sludge Bomb to clean floor 50 by the skin of our teeth. Speaking of 50, if you add a couple of zeros to that, you get 500,000, which is the subscriber count we managed to hit last week. And I'm so incredibly happy we managed to do that. I can't thank you guys enough for watching my videos and subscribing, but that doesn't mean we get to stop now, because we're halfway to 1 million. So if you want to help me and the Swamp Squad reach that, you better click that subscribe button down below if you haven't done that already. With our free egg voucher in hand, we move on to floors 51 through 60, which is another foresty area, and after destroying a couple of deers, we finally get the evolution into my channel mascot, Swampert. At stage 55, we see a glare of glasses shining into our eyes, as it's Finn who's trying to catch us off guard with another battle. I'm telling you right now, he's not ending my run here. I refuse to lose to this blue-haired man. Vilrain is up in this battle, which puts a disadvantage on my Zwiggojr, but he doesn't care as he Shadow Balls Emboar twice, and when I'm about to take it out with Torch Song for the special attack boost, he swaps out into Horsey, who gets killed by 2 of those. Because we're a +2 in special attack, Carnivine doesn't stand a chance, which gives me even more special attack boost, so the rest of his team is a clean sweep. Disappointed, Finn leaves, and we get to move on to the next couple of floors, and our Zwiggojr learns the all-important move Will-O-Wisp. However, we also do get the bulk up TM from a reward, and Swampert is definitely going to be able to benefit from this. The boss fight against Grafaiai was an easy one-shot with Torch Song too, because of all the boosts we already got before this battle, and we stay in the foresty area as we get access to an Iron to boost my Zwiggojr defenses even more, and of course another EXP charm which we can't pass up on. With the Memory Mushroom, we learn Swampert its most powerful move, Earthquake, which is also going to bring down Eternatus a lot, and on floor 70 we fight the boss Fire with Fire, as Zwiggojr scorches it with more Torch Songs. The next stage, so floor 70 through 80, led us to a ghostly atmosphere, with Pokemon like Doublade and Golurk showing up everywhere, which means there's not a big chance for us to get a starter. But we did get some incredible items here, like a Mystic Water to boost my Water-type moves by 20%, a Berry Pouch which gives me a 25% chance that my berry doesn't get consumed, and you already know my Pokemon love eating like I do, so that's definitely going to come in handy. Once we boosted our Venusaur with an HP up to give it some more survivability, we ran into leader Fantina at floor 80. And this is not a contest hall where she normally shines. This is a battlefield of war we're speaking of, so no room for fancy dresses whatsoever. So Zwiggojr puts her dress on fire with Torch Songs while sweeping everything she has: Ceruledge, Drifblim, Miss Magius, and even Spiritomb with only 28 HP remaining. We then came back for Shrek round 2 as we entered another swamp, and throughout the mud we found some useful items like an IV scanner, which technically doesn't really matter because we're catching nothing else but starters, but we also ran into a very difficult choice, an EXP All or Relic Gold. I then considered that at the end of my game I could always re-roll for more items to try and get the Mega Stones I need, so unfortunately my gambling mindset won and I went for the money. Zwiggojr also got a Reviver Seed, which means even more durability for our Croc, and after going to the candy shop with 50 cents and picking up a candy jar, we eventually ran into Naganadel as the boss fight. I went with Earthquake on Swampert, hoping that it wouldn't KO on the first turn so I could capture this and add it to my Pokédex total, but unfortunately my Swole Water type had a different opinion and killed it anyway. Our map then gave the choice between a graveyard and tall grass, and you already know I had to go for that grass starter opportunity with tall grass, so Zwiggojr started burning the place down. With the sun up, this became even easier as we got an EXP balancing as our reward, but also a really good stab move for Swampert in Waterfall and a Carbos to boost the speed of Venusaur even more. On floor 95, our skills get tested once again as Finn wants to take me on. His team has been upgraded significantly Secondly, as he starts off with a terrestrialized Emboar who doesn't stay on the field long because the moment I click Torch Song, Tyranitar swaps in. I obviously go into Venusaur to try and kill with Giga Drains, but Corviknight comes out. He always swaps around every move I throw at him. So I swap one more time into Vaporeon to go for the bouncy bubble, but then Kingdra comes in. This is my chance to take it out. I go for some Aurora Beams and end up winning this matchup as this stupid Seahorse just kept on clicking Twister. I was expecting for Carnivine to take me out here, but that didn't happen. I just hit 2 Aurora Beams and boom, Tyranitar is out. And I've got 2 words for him and the upcoming 2 Pokemon. Bouncy Bubble. Because that's all we needed to take out Finn. Boom. Done. Dusted. On to the next. The boss of floor 100 should have just stayed as a gardening appliance because as a Pokemon, it didn't put up a fight against Skeledirge. And as the lawnmower explodes, we end up hatching an epic egg with a Mesprit in it. Not the best legendary, but I'm trying to catch all the Pokemon, so this is definitely wanted. We end up getting thrown into another tall grass dungeon, and after picking up some big nuggets for the big stonks, we finally acquire a new team member in the form of the amazing lizard Sceptile. He might have a Christmas tree on his ass, but this boy is fast as fuck. Once he's captured and added to the team, we get rewarded even more with a choice between the Shiny Charm and an Egg Voucher Plus. You see, normally I would always go for the Egg Voucher Plus here, but because this was recorded on a Shiny weekend where the odds were boosted times 3, I decided to go with the Shiny Charm in case we run into anything sparkling. With our boosted Shiny odds, we mow the rest of this tall grass and eventually run into the gym leader Burge, which is in fact the second bug leader we've already faced, and we all know what happens to bug leaders. They get squashed. Despite having a really cool terrestrialized Asilgor, he still fell to just Torch Song after Torch Song for my Skeledirge. The spam of fire he could not handle, so scorched he shall be. At the end of my battle, I get an item to max my Swampert's PP. I then get put into a plains which just has Pokemon that I cannot use, so you already know what it is. Skeledirge is singing on all of them. We do eventually get a Never Melt Ice, which we put on Vaporeon to boost its Aurora Beam even more, and after we smash a monkey with the ugliest hands ever, we get put into another cemetery. Floors 120 through 130 weren't all that kind to us. The only thing we got was a memory mushroom for Sceptile to get him Giga Drain, which is great for keeping him alive, but it wasn't my best bet against this world boss Golurk here, so I just used Leaf Storm and bada boom bada bang, the giant falls. Are you ready for the next Shrek movie? Because Venusaur and Sceptile are, as floors 130 through 140 are filled with ground and water types. So with a lot of Giga Drain spamming, we eventually run into the boss who doesn't have water or ground types at all, kind of the opposite, Roxy with poison types. Of course, she leads off with something that's weak to my Torch Song. So as I try to burn it to the ground, Drapion comes in, tanks one, hits me with a crunch, and then falls. Her terrestrialized Grafaiai does also hit a knockoff, but it's not enough to kill, and because I'm now in Blaze range, we can easily kill this in one hit as well. Garbodor then outspeeds, and because of all the damage I've already taken, Gungshot unfortunately puts down my Crocodile. She then swaps out into Victreebel as I bring in Vaporeon, but we kill it with a single Hydro Pump because the rain is up. Scully here falls to the power of the bubble, but Garbodor explodes in my Vaporeon's face, leaving both of our Pokemon knocked out, and trash is scattered all around the battlefield. Her last Pokemon is an Arbok, which Venusaur can deal with by using Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb, and after picking yet another grassy dungeon for our 140 through 150 floors, we end up taking out a Ninetales, which gives us a Focus Band to put on Swampert, which sometimes allows him to stay alive after an Oko with just 1 HP. On floor 145, we run into Finn again, but he doesn't have any words for us. We have beaten every single type of speech out of him in our last few encounters. His terrestrialized Emboar now has 2 health bars, and as always I try to go for Shadow Ball with a Skeledirge, but Tyranitar comes in. As always, I go into Vaporeon predicting that Kingdra comes out. I start hitting Aurora Beams, but in the end I decide to bring in Sceptile, and when I'm about to take it out with another Giga Drain, Corviknight cancels that out. So I bring in Skeledirge, but at this point I know if I click Torch Song, something else is going to come in, so I click Will-O-Wisp instead on the Tyranitar. That does indeed hit the field, basically crippling his entire attack. I go back into Vaporeon and click Aurora Beam, predicting another switch, only this time he brings out his shiny Rayquaza, and this thing looks awesome. This is also a rare rare shiny which has a different shiny color from regular Rayquaza, and every single Pokemon has a couple of these variants now, which gives you even more incentive to shiny hunt in Pokerogue. Unfortunately, after hitting an Aurora Beam, Vaporeon is no more, but 2 more Ice Punches from Swampert take down the green snake. Carnivine came in, and before getting taken out by a Grass Knot, I hit one last Ice Punch, then I bring in Skeledirge and I start Torch Songing until I basically am at max special attack. I finish off Tyranitar with an alluring voice, but Kingdra outspeeds with Wave Crash and puts out my flames. I send out Sceptile, going for the Giga Drain, but Corviknight once again cancels it out. I get hit with a Brave Bird, I survive, click Endeavor to bring it as low as possible, and get finished off. Now I only have Venusaur left against 4 Pokemon. And so here I'm thinking this run is absolutely over, back to the drawing board. And my suspicions were confirmed when I missed my first Sleep Powder and the Terrestrialized Emboar hit me with a Flare Blitz. Somehow I managed to survive and hit a Sleep Powder. On the swap to Corviknight, that is. I kill it with Giga Drain and then put Emboar to sleep. It stays asleep for 3 turns in a row, which means Sludge Bombs can take it out, and now Finn only has 2 Pokemon left. With Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain, we managed to somehow scrape our way out of this fight and leave Finn speechless once again. I mean, he had the victory in the palm of his hand and still fumbled. So the only thing we could do was leave him in the dust until we reached level 150, where a new team member showed its face. It might be the worst starter of all time, not usable in basically any format, but I will take a Meganium right now to fill up my 6th slot. It was a boss fight as well, which meant that this level was a little bit higher than usual, so at least we don't have to grind it up, but if you find any other starter, this thing is probably going off the team. Course 150 through 160 put us in a cave, which meant a lot of ground type Pokemon and cave bats like Swoobat and Golbat, but the main thing we took away from here was a King's Rock that I gave to Venusaur for the extra flinch chance for Giga Drain or Sludge Bomb. We also ended up maxing the PP of my Vaporeon, and the boss fight was a Crobat who somehow took down my Swampert with an Absorb, which is funnily enough one of the weakest grass type moves, but Skeledirge's Torshong once again came in clutch, so 161 through 170, here we come. This brought us to a beach, and unfortunately this means we have to say goodbye to our newly acquired Meganium and swap it out for a Quaquaval, a water fighting type that does get access to Aqua Step to boost its own speed, but unfortunately it doesn't have the hidden ability Moxie to boost his attack as well. But to be honest, I would rather have 3 water types than 3 grass types, so welcome to the team, Mr. Dancing Duck. The rest of this floor didn't really give us anything useful, so onto the boss, which was the water type gym leader and the girl who's still mad about her bike being stolen, Misty. And if you thought this was just going to be a clean sweep with one of my grass types, you had it absolutely wrong, because Quaquaval is up against a giant jellyfish. Of course we don't stand a chance, but this does give us a clean switch into Sceptile. As I click Giga Drain, unfortunately Toxapex hits the field, cancelling it out, and so I have to bring in Swampert instead. As I'm trying to take it out with Earthquake, the AI unfortunately swaps into Kingdra, which we do end up winning against after it takes some more recall damage with Wave Crash. Her Terrestrialized Golduck comes out, and as I hit an Earthquake and she misses a Hydro Pump, I then send in Sceptile, once again going for the Giga Drain, baiting out Toxapex. This time we win the matchup even though we got poisoned by a Poison Jab, and then Starmie comes in, unfortunately outspeeding my fast Lizard and killing me with Psybeam. Venusaur then starts spamming Giga Drain on the rest of the team, taking out Golduck, Jellicent, Starmie, and the big bad Wishy-Washy. We stay in the deep sea area for every floor up to 180 and face Goliaths and Leviathans like Gyarados and Tentacruel. As our only good reward, we get a close combat on Quaquaval with a Memory Mushroom before facing the dumbest duck ever and killing it with 2 Sludge Bombs and a close combat from Quaquaval and Venusaur. We're in the end game now because floors 181 through 190 are filled with 4 Elite Four battles and 1 Champion battle. This is also where I start re-rolling for items frequently, spending a lot of my cash on that, but of course I always need to have some saved up in case we need to heal up some Pokemon. Now let's get started, shall we? Our first Elite Four member that we face is Sydney, which means we're probably going to face the Hoenn guys here. These are definitely not the best matchups for us, but it could be worse. We all know this man loves his dark types, and his ace is a Terrestrialized Crocodile. And while there was a little bit of switching going on between Venusaur, Sceptile, and Vaporeon, Vaporeon, in the end, I only needed Sceptile and Venusaur to even get through this battle. X-Scissoring his Shiftry, and also Giga Draining his Crocodile and Zoroark with Sceptile, while Venusaur took care of Sharpedo, Absol, and the big upgrade from regular Samurott, Hisuian Samurott. And if you're familiar with Emerald, you know Phoebe is coming up next. She also has an Hisuian Pokemon in Typhlosion. And with the rain up, my water types are going to absolutely do some work. I start off with Vaporeon and use Bouncy Bubble to cripple Bramblegast and Sableye, and then we take out Dusknoir with Bouncy Bubble and Hydro Pump. After taking a terrestrialized boosted Phantom Force from Banette, we do take it out with a single Hydro Pump, finish off Sableye as well, but Bramblegast is too fast and ends my Vaporeon's killing spree with Power Whip. Sceptile tries to finish it off with Giga Drain, but it doesn't work out as Chandelure comes in, forcing me to bring in my Duck. After stepping on it with my big feet, and even with my speed boost, this dead plant is still faster, killing me with yet another Power Whip. Skeledirge does make quick work of these final two Pokemon. Unfortunately, we don't get any more good items between the next fight, so it's time to face Glacia. Our team definitely isn't built too well for taking on ice types, as Skeledirge is really our only option. And with the rain being up in this battle, those fire type moves aren't even going to hit that hard, which I find out immediately after hitting this big fat walrus with a Torch Song, and it barely did anything. I then clicked Vaporeon, started spamming Bouncy Bubble and Hydro Pump, and even though those are not very effective, we still managed to come out on top here because Walrein also really can't hit me. Terrestrialized Glizzy also really isn't anything I'm afraid of, but after she swapped it out for terrestrialized Abomasnow before I could take it out, I didn't really want to take a Wood Hammer on my Vaporeon. So instead I went into Sceptile and spammed Leaf Storm, eventually crippling my special attack so much that I couldn't even take out Abama. I went back into Vaporeon knowing I could kill from this range, but unfortunately she swapped out again into Frostlass. I hit 2 more Bouncy Bubbles, and when I'm about to deliver the final blow, Jinx of course has to come in. I bring in Skeledirge to try and kill it with Torch Song and set up, but you guessed it, yet another switch happens into Mamoswine this time, who outspeeds the turn after and kills my fire type. At this point though, I'm not really all that afraid anymore because we've basically crippled every single one of her Pokemon, which does in fact mean that Swampert can take out 3 of them before Abomasnow's Wood Hammer bashes my head off. Vaporeon puts the last Pokemon Glalie in a bubble, and boom. 3rd Elite Four member down. As a reward, we get 1 more Iron, which we give to Swampert to boost him even more in defense, and we're on to our final challenge before the champion, Drake. He does start off with a London Bridge, so I bring in my Swampert and click Ice Punch. For some reason, he swaps in Altaria, which takes it even worse. As I'm about to take it out with another Ice Punch, he swaps in Hydrapple, who yet again survives once more, despite it being 4 times super effective. I decide to swap out because I don't know if this thing can outspeed me or not, and Venusaur can then kill with Sludge Bomb without any more problems. I then get hit below 25% health, which triggers my Venusaur's Berry that boosts its special attack, allowing me to take out Archaludon, Altaria, Salamence, Flygon, and Kingdra with combinations of Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain, while also staying incredibly healthy throughout the process. With this battle out of the way, I was expecting to face Steven Stone, only to be incredibly wrong once I heard the most menacing theme in Pokemon history. Cynthia's piano music. She just stands there menacingly as she throws out this flying egg Pokemon. I notice that I'm outclassed immediately as I try to hit a Sludge Bomb with Venusaur, but she brings in Lucario to just cancel it out. Then when I bring in Swampert to use Earthquake, she cancels that out with Togekiss, and it just keeps on happening. And all the attacks I do land basically do no damage right now. Then, as I finally got some hope, Vaporeon was about to take out Togekiss, but she sends out the king of the underworld, Giratina. That made me sink through the floor, because this thing is going to hit like a truck and is incredibly bulky. Oh, and it's Dragon Terrestrialized. I am able to hit 2 Aurora Beams, doing about half of its HP, but Shadow Force takes down my water dog. Skeledirge then hits a Shadow Ball and an alluring voice, and even this doesn't take it out. So I try to preserve him by sending out Quaquaval. He takes a Shadow Force course, and just when I'm about to take out the demon, obviously she swaps into Togekiss, who does get taken out, which is great, and we also get a speed boost. I then step on the next Pokemon Spiritomb 2 more times, but Dark Pulses are the death of me. Send out my Sceptile to obviously try and finish off this bag filled of souls, and obviously there's another switch coming. This time it's Lucario. I let myself go down to 20 HP and purposely click Endeavor. This means that there are 3 of our 5 Pokemon crippled and easy to pick off. And this is where it really gets fun. I spam Giga Drain on Lucario, on the incoming Garchomp who's terrestrialized and just a ground type, meaning that it's super effective, so we take them down with 2 of those. Spiritomb, Sludge Bombed. Giratina, Sludge Bombed. And last but not least, a Milotic, which is the perfect matchup for me because the only thing we have to do is spam Giga Drain and get our free win against Cynthia. What started out as an incredibly hard and intimidating battle ended up being a clean sweep with Venusaur because of all the work my other Pokemon put in. We take our extra premium egg voucher and enter the realm that is the last 10 floors. No Pokemon can be captured here, so our final team is locked in. Of course, every single floor is now an encounter with Paradox Pokemon who in itself aren't all that scary, but I'm almost on my tippy toes with these guys as you never know what kind of punch they are packing. As our rewards here, we do get a couple of very nice things like a King's Rock, which we put on Sceptile because it can mostly outspeed and maybe get a flinch off, a Memory Mushroom to teach Snarl to Skeledirge, as the special attack lowerings might be crucial against Eternatus himself. Hopefully this is enough prep because on floor 195 we face the strongest trainer in the universe. He's filled with all kinds of emotions, not knowing what's happening. The only thing he really does know is that we are destined to save the world, and Finn here has been trying to prepare me for it. So let's win this battle and save the world one more time. Of course, we're not getting off easily as his Emboar is not only terrestrialized but also has 3 health bars. I swap into Vaporeon immediately and he swaps in Mega Rayquaza with the 4 health bars. We use Charm to cripple its attack as much as possible. Again, lucky with a Hurricane miss. We are able to hit 1 Aurora Beam before 2 Outragers take me out. We send in Swampert, who now takes an Outrage pretty well and counters back with Ice Punch and freezes, which is just the best luck we could have gotten. We spam Ice Punch 6 turns in a row and this takes out the Mega Rayquaza. Just imagine if we didn't have those 6 turns, Rayquaza probably would have swept half of my team. Carnivine comes in and of course I'm going to swap in Skeledirge again. I Torch Song but Tyranitar hits the field. I keep on Torch Songing and for some reason this Tyranitar knows Tackle and keeps going for it, which means it doesn't have a rock type move to hit me with, so I set up with as many Torch Songs as possible and take down this Godzilla. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because Kingdra is going to one-shot me here, so I have to swap into Sceptile. As I start spamming Giga Drain, of course his Corviknight hits the field again, and this thing also has 3 health bars. I do as much damage as possible with Leaf Storm before getting chopped up by Brave Bird, bring in Skeledirge again, only this time I go for Shadow Ball knowing that the Kingdra switch-in is going to come. I then go into Venusaur and hit Sleep Powder on the switch-in with Corviknight. I keep using Sleep Powder until it fully stays asleep because it has a couple of Lumberries it uses. I then put a Leech Seed on it and swap into Skeledirge, hitting a Shadow Ball on the Kingdra who gets revived by Reviver Seed. I then repeat this process once again to take out the Kingdra. I hit 2 Shadow Balls on Emboar to bring it down to its last health bar before going down. Quaquaval then tries to step on it with its feet, but Carnivine eats it up, so we hit a close combat, take it out just like Corviknight, and in the end we take down his starter with one last step of my foot. Finn then sends me out to the final 5 levels to try and overcome Calamity. We take out the last 4 Pokemon and don't get anything until we defeat Iron Jugulis. As the Pokemon gods smile upon me one last time, they decide to hand me a Swampert-ite and finally grant my starter the ability to Mega Evolve just before the final fight. This must be destiny. We approach floor 200 and look Eternatus right in the eyes. He knows we're stuck in this endless cycle island. This has been like the millionth time we've been here. But he senses a different aura from me as he looks into my Mega Swamper's swole muscles. He can feel that this might be a battle that he loses and his reign of terror will finally be over. So let's begin. My Mega Swampert immediately takes an Eterna Beam to the face. It manages to swoop it away with his big arms and counter back with 2 Earthquakes as the Eternatus is recharging. This is the signal for him to go all out as he transforms into his G-Max form, giving it 5 more health bars and the ability to swallow an item from me every single turn and use them against me. And what do I get? A 2-on-1 battle, making it a little bit easier for me. So I swap in Venusaur and Skeledirge and click Leech Seed and Will-O-Wisp. This racks up the damage every single turn, and while it uses Eterna Beam, it still has to recharge. Once that's done, Skeledirge starts spamming Snarl, making it do less and less damage every turn. And while it tries to stay alive with Recover, it only has limited PP on that move, and my damage from Leech Seed and Will-O-Wisp just keeps racking up. And in the end, the mighty Eternatus isn't even able to take down a single one of my Pokemon, as I have out-strategized it so badly that it left this planet forever and never came back. We return home as a hero, but then everything goes black as the cycle starts yet again.